And then before we wrap up the episode, we have our NFL Week 11 picks. We're going to touch on all of the games, starting with tonight's Thursday night matchup with the Jets and the Patriots. Kind of feels like the hydrogen bomb versus coughing baby meme, if you will. But Braden, what do you like here?
Yeah, this is one of those quintessential Thursday night games between a good team and a bad team. You have short rest. It's a divisional game. There's a low point total. Everything points to the Jets somehow finding a way to cover here. I'm going to take the Patriots to win outright. I think we're going to have the under hit pretty comfortably at 42 and a half. I'm going to go New England 20, Jets 10.
Yeah, and if I didn't mention it, Patriots 13.5 point favorites. But if you exclude the screen pass that Brees Hall took 40 yards for a touchdown last week, Justin Fields had 12 yards passing. And the Patriots are probably the hottest team in the NFL right now. They are phenomenal on both sides of the ball. So I'm actually going to take the points with New England, and I will take the under in I'll say 24-10 win for the Pats as they move to 9-2. And then we have the Madrid game this Sunday between the Commanders and the Dolphins. Dolphins 2.5 point favorites with an over/under of 47.5. Who do you like?
I'm going to take Miami to cover here. I'm going to take the under in this game as well. The Commanders just got shelled by the Lions offense last week. Miami finally seems to be getting things going offensively somewhat. Jameer Gibbs had a great day against Washington with 172 yards, all-purpose yards. Devon Achane had 225 all-purpose yards against Buffalo. Expecting another big Devon Achane game this week. This game, I think, is going to go right under the total. I think it's a great line by Vegas here. I'm going to say Dolphins 30, Commanders 17.
And speaking on Devon Achane, I have a bone to pick. Friend of the program, Josh Sloviak, and I had a huge duel in one of our dynasty leagues. Final score ended up being like 188.4 to 187.6. He had Devon Achane, I had Jameer Gibbs. I lost because Garrett Wilson didn't record a catch. So shout out Justin Fields. I hate you. But as far as this game goes, these are two teams that have zero defense. So I'm going to take the over. No Duron Payne for the Commanders. He slapped the shit out of Amon-Ra St. Brown last week. So he is not playing in this one. And Devon Achane, as much as I hate him, he has been incredible recently. I don't actually hate him. But with no Jaden Daniels, I will take the Dolphins to win, and I will take them to cover as well. Then we have the Bears at the Vikings. Vikings 2.5 point home favorites with an over-under of 48.5, Braden.
Yeah, one of these quarterbacks is bipolar. The other has a team full of bipolar players. The Bears I can't figure them out. They seem to just snatch victory from the jaws of defeat every single week. It has to catch up to them at some point. It didn't against the Giants. It didn't against the Bengals. It's going to happen this week. The Vikings are going to figure things out. I think they're up and down a lot, and I think Kevin O'Connell is going to learn from his shitty play calling last week and call a better game this week. So I'm going to take the Vikings to win this one and cover by a score of 21-17. So I think the under comfortably hits at 48.5.
And it's interesting because, the Bears realistically, kind of the opposite of what you said, should have won this game in week one, and then the Vikings just stormed back in the fourth quarter. But, I mean, the Vikings defense has been playing very well the last couple of weeks, as has the Bears offense. The Bears just can't catch passes to save their lives. I will take the over at 48.5 points. I will take the Vikings to win, though, at home and cover in a 28-24 victory to put them, I believe, back at 5. Yeah, they'd be 5-5 after this one, and the Bears would fall to 6-4. The Panthers at the Falcons, a revenge game for Atlanta. The Falcons are 3.5 point home favorites with an over/under of 41.5 points. Who are you taking?
I mean, both these teams make zero sense this year. The Panthers just got destroyed by the Saints. Yeah, it was only a 10-point loss, but you put up 7 points against the Saints, and it came on either the opening or the second drive of the game. So not a great last 50 minutes from Carolina there. The Falcons have at least shown signs of life over the last couple of weeks. They took the Colts to overtime, held a lead under the 2-minute warning. I think you have some extra motivation after their 30-0 just curb stomping that the Panthers handed them back in Charlotte earlier this year. So I'm going to take Atlanta to win and cover here. I think the under hits. I'm going to go Falcons 24, Panthers 10.
Well, you might have just read off my notes. Yeah, you mentioned that shutout earlier in the season. Not expecting that to happen again. Bijan Robinson really has not been himself the last couple of weeks. I expect him to get back on track this week. I can personally guarantee 20 or more fantasy points in this game, which sucks because I'm against him in multiple leagues, but that's the price you pay. Atlanta wins. They're going to cover as well, and I will take the under in a 24-14 victory for the Falcons. The Bucks at the Bills up next. The Bills 5.5-point home favorites with a 47.5-point over under. Braden.
I'm going to take the Bills in this one. I think the over hits as well. Buffalo, I think, was probably looking ahead a little bit to this game with their game against Miami last week. It caught up to them. They're going to get back on track here. Tampa's been starting to slip a little bit as well. Had that home loss to the Patriots. Maybe they were looking ahead too. But with this game being in Buffalo, I think conditions are going to favor the Bills. I'm going to take the Bills 34, Buccaneers 26.
Yeah, this should be one of the best games of the weekend. Buffalo is 4-1 at home this year. Tampa is 4-1 on the road. But I think Buffalo is going to be pissed after that Miami loss last weekend. Tampa's defense has struggled at times this year. So I will take Buffalo to win. I will take Tampa to cover the 5.5 points. And I will take the over in a 27-24 victory for Buffalo. Texans at Titans in an AFC South battle. The Texans 6.5-point road favorites with a 37.5-point over under. Yuck. Braden, who do you like?
I like anyone who is not going to be watching this game.
Yeah.
Davis Mills led a great fourth quarter comeback last week, but the Texans offense really sputtered for the first 3 quarters of that game. They had 10 points entering the fourth quarter. Tennessee's offense generally sputters for all 4 quarters. Maybe something changes for them because I think they're coming off a bye, correct?
Yes, I think so.
Okay, so with no CJ Stroud, I'm going to take the Titans to cover, the Texans to win outright. And I think despite the under being 37.5, I think it comfortably hits. My final score prediction is Texans 17, Titans 12. I don't think the Titans get a touchdown. I think they kick 4 field goals.
Yeah, the Titans suck. The Texans looked like they were cooked last week, and then they scored, I believe it was 26 unanswered points in that second half. Davis Mills will be starting again this week. It really doesn't matter who the Titans play. They're probably going to lose, which now that I say that is exactly why they're going to win and why I'm going to pick them to upset the Texans this weekend and get their second win of the year. They win at home in a very ugly 17-13 game, which would be the under in points as well. So yeah, don't watch this. Don't watch that game though, please. The Packers and the Giants up next on the docket. The Packers 7.5-point road favorites with an over/under of 43.5 points. Who wins?
This game is going to be fun, unlike Texans Titans. You have Jameis Winston getting the start for the Giants. You have the interim coach in Mike Kafka coaching his first game. So we're going to see, I think, a little bit of trickery from the Giants in this one. I think that gets them enough to cover the 7.5-point spread. Jameis Winston is a lock to throw 3 touchdowns with at least one to each team. The Packers' offense is hopefully, or maybe not hopefully, 'cause as a Vikings fan, I don't want them to get things back on track, but I think probably going to figure things out to some extent. Their defense is probably going to score a touchdown as well. Might be a good anytime touchdown scorer bet. I'm going to go with the Packers 28, Giants 24.
Yeah, the Packers have been ass the last couple of weeks. Losing to Carolina in week 9 and then losing to the Eagles last week. So I think this could be an upset spot, but I'm not going to call it. I will say the Packers win with the Giants covering and the under hitting in a 21-14 Packers victory. Up next, a game that should hopefully be higher scoring than these last two, the Bengals and the Steelers. The Steelers 5.5-point home favorites with an over/under of 48.5. Who do you like?
Yeah, the first match between these teams was one of the best games of the year on Thursday night. I think just under a month ago at this point. Aaron
Yep.
Rodgers threw for 249 yards and 4 touchdowns. Jalen Warren had 127 yards on the ground. Pat Fryermuth had 111 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns. For the Bengals, Joe Flacco, 342 yards, 3 touchdowns. Chase Brown with 108 yards on just 11 carries. And then Jamar Chase with ridiculous 23 targets, 161 yards in the score. T. Higgins, 96 yards in the score. And then, the Bengals decided to honor that tradition of giving up a ton of yards and a ton of points by repeating the exact same thing the last couple of weeks in heartbreaking losses before the bye. They gave up 47 points to the Bears and somehow found a way to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory from the jaws of defeat, which I didn't know was possible. And then 39 points to the Jets the week prior, or the week after, or the week
Yeah,
prior. Yeah,
prior.
prior. So I think we're in for another high scoring affair here. I'm going to take the Steelers 37, which is pretty shocking considering how they played against the Chargers offensively. But the Bengals defense will do that to you, and the Bengals 33.
Yeah, that Thursday night matchup you mentioned, Bengals won that 33-31, so certainly no shortage of points. The Steelers have been absolutely horrendous over their last 10 quarters of football. The Bengals are also going to be coming off a bye. So I will take the Bengals to win outright with the overhitting in a 27-24 win for Cincinnati. The Chargers at the Jaguars. Chargers 2.5-point road favorites with a 43.5-point over under. Who are you taking here, Braden?
LA has looked great recently, and the Jags are coming off a pretty stunning collapse to the Texans in the fourth quarter. This is a must win for Jacksonville and a would be nice to have game for the Chargers. The Jags are 2.5-point dogs. I'm going to take them to win outright. I'm going to take the under at 43.5. I think an underrated factor in this one is that it's going to kick off at 10 a.m. Pacific time. It's a 1 p.m. Eastern time kick. So going to be a little bit of a early morning shenanigans for the Chargers, I would think. Probably gets them off to a slow start. So I will take Jaguars 19, Chargers 17 in this one.
And that's valid thinking because we had the exact opposite thought process. The Chargers, in my opinion, have just found it again after a couple tough losses earlier in the year, and the Jaguars just collapsed in the second half of last week. I think the Chargers had the edge on paper in just about every facet of this game. I think it's going to be a blowout. I will take the Chargers to comfortably cover the 2.5 with the over hitting in a 34-14 blowout win for LA. I'm curious to see which one of us is right in this and which one of us is wrong, because one of us is going to be each with how we predicted this game. And then the game of the week, maybe the game of the year thus far in terms of teams. The Seahawks at the Rams, two of our top three teams in our NFL power rankings, which will be coming out later today. The Rams 3.5-point home favorites with a 48.5-point over under. Who wins this one?
I'm going to take the Rams to win and cover this game as 3.5-point favorites. I think the under hits as well. The focus of this game is really the offenses, and I think we're in for a sneaky defensive affair as a result. I think both these coaches are going to be extremely well prepared. I'm going to take the Rams 24, Seahawks 17.
And yeah, in my personal power rankings, these were my 1 and 2 teams, with Seattle 1, LA 2. I think this game is going to be decided by which team can run the ball better, and I tend to lean towards the Rams in that facet. The Rams front seven has been outstanding this year, so I just don't know what Seattle is going to be able to do rushing the ball. I expect Sam Darnold to make some plays with his arm, but Matthew Stafford has thrown 13 touchdowns in his last 3 games, which is just an absurd stat to say out loud. So I will take the Rams to win. I don't like the 3.5-point line, so I will take Seattle to narrowly cover that in a 24-21 win for the Rams, so I'll take the under as well. The 49ers at the Cardinals in an AFC or NFC West battle, I should say. The 49ers, 2.5-point road favorites with a 48.5-point over under. Who do you like here?
I'm going to take not Arizona, San Fran in this one, and I'm going to take the under as well. Arizona has looked fairly lifeless against most defenses not located in Dallas over the last few weeks. San Fran finally is getting Ricky Pearsall back. I'm going to take the 49ers by a score of 27-16 here.
And both of these teams got absolutely spanked last week. The 49ers getting smoked by the Rams, and then the Cardinals getting smoked by the Seahawks. No Marvin Harrison for the Cardinals this week, I think, is going to make a pretty big difference. And I just don't think Arizona is going to be able to keep up with San Francisco. So I will take the Niners to get a much-needed win on the road and cover the 2.5 points. I will take the under as well in a 24-17 victory for San Francisco. The Ravens at the Browns in an AFC North battle. The Ravens 7.5-point road favorites with a 39.5-point over under. Who do you like here?
I'm going to take Baltimore in this one to cover and to cover the total by themselves. They're starting to fire on all cylinders, three straight wins. They looked really good for the most part with Lamar Jackson back. He's been inconsistently practicing this week. I expect him to play. Cleveland just lost to the Jets despite allowing only 169 yards and only 42 passing yards. Now that they have to face an actual competent offense, things are going to get much worse. This is going to be a complete rout. I'm going to take Baltimore by a score of 41-14 here. So I like the over, and I like Baltimore's team total over as well.
And I do just have to say, people forget that the Browns upset the Ravens last year. Problem is that was last year and not this year. I don't think Dylan Gabriel is going to be able to do enough to keep up with this Baltimore offense. The Browns have a great run defense, so it might not be a great day for Derrick Henry, but I do expect Lamar Jackson to have a big game rushing and throwing the ball. So I will take the Ravens to win and cover. I will take the under, though. I don't think it's going to be quite as high scoring. I will say 24-14 in favor of the Ravens. And then a big time AFC West divisional battle. The Chiefs travel to Denver to take on the Broncos. Chiefs 3.5-point road favorites with a 44.5-point over under. Who wins this one, Braden?
Yeah, I think we are pretty much in agreement that the Broncos are pretty fraudulent, but at the same time, giving them 3.5 points at home feels like way too many points. I would have put the spread at like Kansas City -1. So I am going to take the Chiefs to win outright, but the Broncos to cover. I think the over hits in this one as well. I'm going to go Kansas City 27, Denver 26. I think Denver fails a 2-point conversion at the end of the game and loses that way.
I went back and forth on this one. I hate that 3.5-point spread. I hate it. The Chiefs looked awful in their last game against the Bills before that bye. Denver is coming off a mini bye, having played against the Raiders on Thursday night. They also looked horrible in that game for what it's worth. The Broncos are 5-0 at home this year. They will be without Patrick Surtain, and I think KC just has too many weapons for this Broncos defense. So I will take KC to win, and I will skeptically take them to cover the 3.5 points with the under hitting as well in a 24-20 Chiefs victory. Sunday night, we have a phenomenal game between two NFC heavyweights. The Lions travel to Philadelphia to take on the Eagles. Eagles are 2.5-point home favorites with a 46.5-point over under. Who are you liking here, Braden?
I will be copying your 24-20 score prediction here. I will take Detroit to win this one. They looked great in their first game under Dan Campbell's play calling. Philadelphia's offense looked miserable against Green Bay. It's been too inconsistent this year compared to last year. I think that's enough of a difference, so I will take Detroit in this one to cover, win outright, and the under will hit slightly.
Yeah, and I think the Lions' offensive strengths just play well into the Eagles' weaknesses on defense. I think we get a huge Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jamison Williams game. I think 100 plus yards and a touchdown for both of them. I will take the Lions to win outright as well, and I will take the over in a 27-21 victory for Detroit. And then the last game of the week, Monday Night Football, the Cowboys take on the Raiders in Las Vegas. Cowboys are 3.5-point road favorites with a 49.5-point over under. Who wins this one?
Yeah, this is just the game we all wanted on Monday Night Football. I'm going to take the Raiders to cover and to win outright here. I think the over hits as well. The Cowboys' defense, or lack thereof, is going to turn Geno Smith back into a competent quarterback. I will go Vegas 28, Dallas 24.
Yeah, Lions Eagles is really saving the primetime slate this week because the Thursday night game and Monday night game are not great by any means. The Cowboys have somehow looked worse on offense since CeeDee Lamb got back, but they're coming off a bye, and this is the perfect opportunity to get things back on track offensively. Brock Bowers may go for 150 yards with how bad this Dallas secondary is, but I don't think it's going to matter. I will take Dallas to win and cover, and I will take the under in a 27-21